It showed me the way well. Show me the way home. Just a man, 24. Thought this world could offer so much more. Well, I've been traveling.
Hello, humans. Welcome back to the Quote of the Day Slackline. You are here with the boss.
The boss is coming.
That's a made-up dumb fairy tale name, you
And we are chatting some deep dives into quotes, thinking about some different meanings, pulling them out, and applying them to our life around us, seeing what we can get out of them. We are coming at you from Vancouver, Canada. Another cloudy day here in the throes of winter. That tends to be how it is. It seemed like it was going to be kind of sunny this morning when I woke up, but no, the clouds have rolled in as they tend to do. Greg, who is our sponsor today? Let's see here. We are sponsored today by Bruce's Smoke Pellets. Cover your retreat from any scenario, creditors, process servers, or your mother-in-law. Escape them all with Bruce's Smoke Pellets. Small pocket-sized pellets. You can just drop at any time and escape any situation there. They are sponsoring us today, and they are bringing us our quote. Our quote comes from American science fiction author Lois McMaster Bujold. It might be Bujold. It seems like most of her stuff was Nordic, so I'm going to go with Bujold. Lois McMaster Bujold. That quote is, "A tactical retreat is not a bad response to a surprise assault, you know. First you survive, then you choose your own ground, then you counterattack." That again is Lois McMaster Bujold. Yeah, that one caught my eye today. It was an interesting one, I thought, because, in the scenario of a surprise attack, it seems to me that the only options are to kind of either counterattack or retreat, right? I mean, if we're talking about a physical attack, and you're met with a surprise, most people would like to say that they'd stand and fight, but in a surprise attack scenario, a counterattack is probably just a blind shot, and a surprise attacker probably knows that. And so, a method of retreating and counterattacking when you have, more space and more footing and more awareness, it seems like a better plan when you think about it logically. But in a surprise scenario, I mean, you're probably just going off of your instinctual reaction. But I mean, I didn't really want to think about it so much like a physical shot, but being, the things that we take in our life, the types of surprise, the types of scenarios that take us by surprise, that blindside us, that we're not really sure how to react to. Things like breakups, things like people stabbing you in the back, any sort of life happenstance that can throw your brain for a loop. It tends to result in like kind of one or two responses, right? Like I said, a blind counterattack, which I would liken in this allegory to be, like a rage-filled nonsensical rant about, how much you hate somebody after they've done something terrible to you, like fired you or cheated on you or something along those lines. Or there's the retreat and counterattack scenario, which I could argue would be much more effective, because when you're just ranting, you're throwing things, you're pulling things out of your ass and screaming at somebody, a lot of it is, like I said, going to be nonsense. If you take a step back, think about what's happened, and collect yourself, collect your thoughts, collect the actual case for your anger, I guess, or your frustration, and then you can approach it in a much more calm but I would think effective and devastating way. Like I find that to be much more crushing when somebody comes at you with a calm, rational, thought out spiel about how you've wronged them and why it's hurt them. That's much more effective to me, because I mean, when somebody's just like screaming at your face and half of it is nonsense, it's really easy to just laugh off and laugh through the stuff that the stuff that actually matters, that's mixed in with what they're screaming at you. And so, I think that a tactical retreat in this case is not a bad response to a surprise assault, like a firing, or like, walking in on a partner with somebody else, or, a breakup in general, or, from both sides, right? And then when those things do happen, things that, that really change your life, change the direction of your life, like a firing, or quitting, or like I said, breakups, friendships, whatever it is, severed relationships with family, like those types of things, whatever type of change you come to in your life that is not a cause of you, something that is something that you didn't expect. Generally how we react to those things is by taking a step back and reassessing what we're wanting to do, and then moving forward with whatever that new direction is. And the knee-jerk reaction to those things, to be angry and to run away and to go on benders or whatever, giving into your like, anger and resentment for people, and becoming self-destructive because of it, tends to not be the best response. You have to be pretty quick in the mind to catch people, right as these things happen, to really throw a really devastating shot to like a boss that's firing you as you're leaving, and not have it come across, he's just angry because he's getting fired, or they're just angry because they're getting fired. It's petty when it's not, right? You probably have real issues and you don't want to come across as petty. You can apply it to almost kind of any sort of scenario, as far as just taking a mindful and thoughtful approach to any sort of decision that you might have to make, even on a really small scale. But then it kind of goes against what we talked about with Malcolm Gladwell about trusting your own thoughts, trusting your own your mysterious gut reactions, as he said, or your mysterious gut feelings, which can be important too. But I think that those gut feelings are part of maybe taking this selective approach. Like, I would say to follow like your gut as far as doing what feels right. These things can combine there, as far as following a gut feeling, but doing it with a calculated counterattack in mind. You get hit down with a firing. Okay, so what would I like to do then? Like, what is my next move? I mean, if you're lucky enough to be able to actually have some time to choose, or maybe even not, just going in a totally different direction, maybe following the gut feeling of, fuck, like, I've been working in this industry for 20 years. I'm sick of it. I'm bored of it. Just got fired. I'm not looking for another job in this field. I'm gonna I'm gonna, deviate, go into, try and start something new. That sounds crazy initially, but if you take a planned approach to it, you can definitely pull those types of things off, right? That's how people kind of get along in any sort of scenario. And it's tough not to act emotional in these times, because they are emotional, a firing, especially if you don't feel like you deserve it, is emotional. A quitting is emotional, because you're probably quitting for one of two reasons: that you found a better job, which is great, or that you really hate your job, which is chock full of emotion. A breakup is obviously full of emotion. And even, when you're wronged by a friend or something like that could be one of the worst ones, because they're the people that you least expect to do anything to hurt you. And then when it happens, it's so blindsiding that there's very few other situations that could like break your trust, not just like in that person, but just in other people, in everybody, because if you couldn't trust this person who you've known for this long, or that you've had this great friendship with, or companionship with, or both, those people can be the same people. It can really affect how you look at people going forward. Especially if you never really take the time to step back and assess, why this thing happened, and realizing that it was an individual thing, that it's not you, it's not them, it was the combination of your meeting, your friendship, your relationship, whatever it was. These were the circumstances. I used to be really head over heels for this girl in university. A lot of our friends were kind of crazy for this girl. She kind of was confused between me and another buddy, and ended up choosing him over me, and kind of but pulling me in at the same time, and really sort of like ripping my heart out. And that was really hard. And within that scenario, I did have, a couple the knee-jerk counterattacks, that quote-unquote counterattacks, that were, awful, in hindsight. And the only times I made the right decisions in my again, in hindsight, are when I, took a step back and thought about what the best plan was. And that doesn't mean that you just like sit and wait for like days at a time thinking about it, like, well, sometimes, but it can be, a few minutes, or just a breath, even, to think like, wait, what is really the best idea here? And a few of those decisions resulted in, the severing of long-term relationships, but also saving. Like, I'm still friends with that buddy. I'm still friends with the girl too. I don't talk to her very much anymore though, because what we had was built on my feelings for her, and I couldn't be around her anymore. But that's kind of here nor there. The point is that in that scenario, when looking back on it, the times I had like knee-jerk reactions, and the times I had like knee-jerk reactions tended not to be good. But the pathway I was trying to follow with those reactions was what I wanted, and looking back on it, if I had taken, a second to think about what I was doing in those moments, I probably would have come to a different decision to get to the same place, and maybe got to the same place, and maybe my life would be different. Not that I really wanted it to be, but like, I just like to think about, it's kind of a nice, I don't know about nice, but it's kind of an interesting thought experiment to think about, how your life would be if you had, made that one night, right? Like, it's one night, it's 1 second moment of quitting or not quitting, of kissing or not kissing, of punching or not punching, of whatever it is, that can really, like, it can change your life and change the total direction of your life. So I found that to be a more interesting way to look at this quote than to think about it like an actual, military or fight scenario, which, I mean, is probably where it comes from because she was a science fiction writer, and I'm sure that this was, some sort of a military quote, but maybe not. So maybe we'll leave it there for today. That quote again is, "A tactical retreat is not a bad response to a surprise assault, First you survive, then you choose your own ground, then you counterattack." That is Lois McMaster Bujold, an American science fiction author. And that quote is brought to us again by Bruce's Smoke Pellets. Cover your retreat from any scenario, creditors, process servers, or your mother-in-law. Escape them all with Bruce's Smoke Pellets. Those are distraction smoke bombs that can cover your tracks when you need to get out of a tight spot. So we'd like to thank them for sponsoring the show today. I'd like to thank again Crooked Spies for providing the music, taking us in and out of the podcast. You can follow the podcast on Instagram at the.slack.line, on Twitter at slackline_radio, and on YouTube at the Slackline Podcast. You have been listening to The Boss.
The boss is coming!
That's a made-up dumb fairy tale name, you.
This has been the Slackline Quote of the Day, and we will be back tomorrow with another quote for everybody. Have a good day. Bye for now.